Number 1. How to create homemade rice flour. An important component in a South Indian cooking is rice flour, also known as bayam pindi in Telugu. What can be done with rice flour, then? This gluten-free flour is used to make prasadam, a food offering to God, such as kadumalu, undralu, appalu, and amanai kazukatai, as well as snacks, pindi vantalu, like muruku, jantakalu, and palakayalu. As I was preparing a sizable quantity for dishes for Ganesh Chaturthi, I took photographs of the entire process after receiving several requests for the recipe for rice flour to create snacks. Extremely easy, but requires some work. It is necessary to soak the rice for at least 1 hour. Given that it results in softer flour, I'd advise soaking the grains for 2 to 3 hours. Use any top-notch raw white rice, such as Sona Masuri. Make careful to shade dry the rice on cotton fabric until it is almost completely dry but still slightly damp. I typically lay a newspaper on the ground, cover it with a cotton towel, and then cover it with a thin layer of the drained rice. The leftover coarse rice rava after sifting rice flour can be further processed into smooth flour or utilized in recipes that call for rice rava, coarsely ground rice. Rice flour may be prepared in small batches at home or delivered to your local flour mill in larger amounts, greater than 1 kilogram. Typically, I make bayam pindi with 1 kilogram of rice for Naivediyam on holidays like Ganesh Chaturthi, offering to God. Ingredients: 4 cups of rice. How to make rice flour at home method for making rice flour. Rice should be washed and soaked for 2 to 3 hours minimum. If you're pressed for time, soak it for an hour. Completely drain the water, then spread it out on a cotton cloth in a thin layer. For an hour or until it is virtually dry but still slightly damp, dry it in the shade. 1 cup of rice should be added to a mixer grinder and powdered up. This pounded rice powder should be sieved, and the leftover rice rava, which has a gritty texture, should be set away in a different bowl. On a piece of newspaper, spread out the fine rice powder and let it air dry fully. It ought to be kept in an airtight jar. You may now either use the leftover rice rava to make upma or any other recipe that asks for rice rava, or you can crush it into a fine powder. Tips: rice flour from 1 cup of rice makes 1½ cups. After grinding the rice to a fine powder, you do not need to dry it if you want to use the flour within 2 to 3 days of preparing it. Make careful to keep it chilled. The fine rice powder can be dry roasted for 5 to 7 minutes on a low heat, then cooled to room temperature. For a few weeks, keep it in an airtight container. It may be used to produce puttu, idiyappam, and muruku. I produce new batches of rice flour as needed. The rice should be soaked in water for at least 2 to 3 hours. Number 2. Recipe for stovetop steamed rice. My family's kitchen used to cook rice on the stovetop in a Filipino caldero until we got an electric rice cooker, a heavy stock pot of aluminum or cast iron. In the Philippines, my parents' home had a regular tradition of cooking rice. 3 times a day, rice was frequently prepared. In my mother's kitchen, I saw that there were 2 sizes of calderas. The larger one was used to boil wigwag, the normal rice kind. The Milagrosa variation was prepared in the smaller caldera. Wigwag was a less expensive kind of white grain rice that was used for commercial applications or significant culinary occasions. The rice known as Milagrosa was pricey, pure white, and small-grained. When cooked, it released a delicate, fragrant scent. I was raised in Tarlac, a province in central Luzon, which is known as the rice granary of the Philippines since it was here that the majority of the nation's rice was grown. Gualberto Besa, my father, was a farmer who raised rice crops. The greatest food was grown and nurtured in our farms and gardens by him. As you might expect, my dad's trees, vines, bushes, and crops gave our home a constant supply of rice, vegetables, and fruits. At his core, my father was a farmer. He was woken by the sound of our roosters and rose every day at the crack of dawn. He was one of those farmers who could sense the impending arrival of heavy rains simply by gazing up at the clear, blue sky and breathing in the crisp farm air. Over the years, I've heard my parents, my uncles, and my aunts use the Kapampangan dialect, a local dialect in our province, to talk about farming and rice-related words to describe rice, including abayas, rice grains, pale, palay, unhulled rice grains, apa, the palay's hull, nasi, cooked rice, lelet, porridge, suman, sticky rice logs, gagto, badly cooked. No matter where we reside in the globe, if there is one thing that all Filipinos have in common, it is our passion for rice at every meal. Boiling rice is a simple meal with a moderate flavor and pleasant scent that pairs well with the diverse Filipino cuisine. The Tagalog or Filipino word for rice is kanin. Sining na kanin, cooked rice, used to be a common word in our home, especially right before meals. 3 times a day, 7 days a week, I used to stand next to my mother in the kitchen while she prepared meals. Rice was always boiled first during dinner preparation. My first responsibility was cleaning the rice grains, called bigas in our language, as I was not yet permitted to handle the heat or the fire. Bigas is a product of threshing the palay after harvesting and contains husks, black grains, microscopic stones, and dirt. Before cooking, these dirt flecks had to be painstakingly plucked and sifted by hand. This was necessary in order to make cooked rice pure, hygienic, and aesthetically acceptable to everybody. I would pick out the dirt, stones, and husks from the rice grains outside, behind the kitchen, with a huge baleo, round, flat basket. I was eager to start cooking the rice, because I found the chore tedious. Later, when I grew older, my parents gave me a set of little rice clay pots, called a karang-karangan. I prepared real rice outside over logs using my toy set of pots. I've never more happier with myself than when my pretend cooking produced actual rice that I could eat. Let's jump to the present. From the time when we had to sift through dirt in the bigas, we have gone a long way. Nowadays, there are many different rice kinds available in the marketplaces, and the majority of them are marketed free of any unwelcome stones or dirt. My mother eventually came upon the electric rice cooker, which quickly established itself as a staple in our household. A rice cooker was one of the first items my husband and I bought for our new American kitchen when we came here over 25 years ago. It still functions today. I changed rice cookers as our boys grew since technology advances and keeps providing us with additional high-end product features. Even when we take summer holidays, I bring a rice cooker with me to the beach. That's a different tale for later. However, I still adhere to the traditional methods and frequently prepare rice from scratch on the stovetop, as I was initially taught by my mother, whether a rice cooker is a top-of-the-line model or sings, whistles, or speaks when the rice is done. According to Doreen Gamboa Fernandez, a pioneer in Filipino culinary writing, rice is the deepest comfort meal for Filipinos, and this is undoubtedly true. But for me, one of the most priceless lessons my late mother taught me was how to make rice the first time, and I will always treasure it. On Saturday, October 28, 2017 at 1 p.m. Eastern Time or 10 a.m. Pacific Time, my incredible friend and pastry chef extraordinaire Jenny Field of Pastry Chef Online will be cooking rice live on Facebook as part of the event Cook the Book with Denise and Jenny. I'll be preparing 2 Filipino dishes from my new cookbook, My Mother's Philippine Recipes, Carne Asado Kapampangan and Coconut Leche Flan. Since October is Filipino-American History Month and we celebrate our culture and ancestry in America, this is a significant occasion for Filipino cuisine. You may enter to win 2 of my cookbook giveaways if you share pictures of these recipes and the rice you made with us on Jenny Field's Facebook page, Cook the Book with Denise and Jenny. Come observe as you cook with us. Steamed rice cooked over the stove. I recall learning how to cook rice on the stovetop in a typical stock pot when I was younger. It is alluring to only use an electric rice cooker to cook the rice, letting it do the task flawlessly. However, I've always said to my boys that it doesn't harm to understand the fundamentals since you never know when they can come in useful. Yes, there have been times in my life when I've had to cook rice on the stovetop in an old-fashioned manner. Even my husband, Eli, told us tales of having to learn how to prepare rice over campfires the old-fashioned way when he was a Boy Scout. Here is a straightforward, basic recipe for boiling rice on the stove, regardless of whether you have a rice cooker or not. This recipe was created by Asian Americans. Serves 2 to 4 people. Equipment. Cooking pan, 6 quarts. Ingredients. Jasmine white rice grains in 1½ cups. 3 water cups. Instructions. Rice should be washed twice in running water. Throw away the rice water it rinsed in. Alternately, retain the second batch of Hugs Bigus rice washing, and use it as a stock for stew soup. 1 cup of rice grains to 2 cups of water is the ratio for rice. In a 6-quart stock pot that is medium in size, add the rice. For this dish, combine 1½ cups of rice with 3 cups of water. Shut the stock pot lid. In about 10 minutes, the water in the rice will boil over medium-high heat. Turn down the heat to a simmer. For a further 10 minutes of simmering, with the lid on, the rice should puff out to a bigger size, become mushy, and be able to separate when fluffed with a fork. The cooked rice would have soaked up the liquid. 3 cups of cooked rice will be produced by this recipe. When the rice is ready to be served, turn off the heat and cover the pot. To keep warm, serve the rice in a dish. Number 3. Recipe for steamed rice. This recipe will teach you how to make rich, steamed rice that you can use as a garnish for foods that are really spicy. Ingredients. Rice, 1 cup. 3 water cups. Preparation. Rice should be well washed in water until it is translucent and drains very nicely. Wrap a sky blanket around the rice in a steamer. Cook the rice for 60 minutes, or until you can tell it's done. Number 4. How to prepare rice. A mainstay of many meals is rice. It is inexpensive, filling, and simple to prepare. A pot, a sieve, and a few measuring cups are all you really need to make basic rice. Ingredients. 2/3 cup rice. Water, 1 cup. Instructions. In a colander, rinse the rice until the water is clear. In a heavy saucepan over high heat, add the rice and the water. When the water is boiling, reduce the heat to the lowest setting and cover the pot with a lid. With the cover off, cook the rice for 15 minutes. Turn off the heat, take the cover off, fluff the rice with a fork, then replace the lid and cook for a further 5 to 10 minutes. Number 5. How to cook baked rice in the oven. Simple and easy to prepare is baked rice. Every time, it tastes fantastic and steams properly. When you bake rice, those days are over if you've ever felt incompetent when baking rice. You eliminate all of the guesswork from the procedure by baking rice. It is quick, simple, and entirely hands-free. Even better, you can prepare many dishes at once. A pan of hands-free cashew chicken will go perfectly with your oven rice if you slide it in. My rice never cooks properly. I'm not sure why, but I just can't prepare rice that tastes decent. Have you ever spoken such phrases? I assure you that you are not alone. The only affordable decent food that people consistently have trouble making is rice. What is it about rice that causes home chefs such difficulty? Fortunately, it truly is simple to make, especially when you bake the rice. Why do this? It's simple. A simple side dish to make is baked rice. Dinner preparation is a cinch because it requires minimal work and can bake in the oven with other things. In the oven, I particularly enjoy baking rice next to a pan of hands-free cashew chicken. It matches everything. Every civilization on earth likes rice because it is filling, adaptable, and affordable. Asian bowls, Catalan paella, Cajun jambalaya, French pilafs, Mexican meals, Italian risotto, Asian cuisine, French pilafs, and Mediterranean cuisine all use this little grain. Many curries, including chicken tikka masala, start with it. It is impregnable. It's to your best advantage to learn how to cook good rice because it's used in so many cuisines and complements so many delectable foods. You'll feel confident including rice as a regular item in your meal planning thanks to this straightforward method for baking rice in the oven. Ingredients. The list of ingredients is not long. Rice, salt, and really hot, boiling water is all you need. There is no need for anything extra because rice is easily accessible at practically any grocery shop. For this baked rice dish, we use conventional long-grain rice, but you may simply substitute other varieties. However, you might need to change the water to rice ratio or the cooking time. Rice won't cling to the glass baking dish with the aid of non-stick cooking spray. Although the type of rice you use isn't very important, the tools you employ are. Either bake your rice in a Dutch oven with a tight-fitting lid, as we do here, or tightly cover the 9x 13-inch baking dish with heavy-duty aluminum foil to prevent heat loss. The rice should steam or bake in a covered pan. Variations. Once you've mastered basic baked rice, you should attempt the flavorful baked lemon and thyme rice. Step-by-step guidelines. 3 ingredients and 30 minutes are needed to bake rice in the oven. It requires only one dish and nearly always turns out flawlessly. Any recipe that enables you to prepare food simultaneously for cooking and serving is a winner in my book. Clean a baking pan, then start some water to boil. Set the oven's temperature to 425. In the preheated pan, add salt and uncooked rice. Pour the hot water in. Heavy-duty aluminum foil should be used to securely cover the pan. For 20 minutes, bake. With a fork, fluff the rice before serving. This meal is so simple. Watch the video to discover just how simple it is. How to manage leftovers. You may package the leftovers and reheat them within the following 4 days, provided you haven't overdone your rice or left it out for too long to dry out. Rice that is cold and dry is ideal for vegetable fried rice. I frequently cook extra so that I may prepare fried rice later. Directions for freezing. Cooked rice may be frozen. Simply place it in an airtight container, let it become cold in the fridge, and then freeze. Thaw and warm the rice to reheat. The rice might occasionally be a little drier after freezing than it was before. As a result, it is perfect for fried rice and soups. Success suggestions. Follow the ratios. For every cup of long-grain rice, use 2 cups of water. For every cup of brown rice, use 2 cups of water. Increase the baking time to 45 minutes. And for every cup of basmati or jasmine rice, use 1.5 cups of water. Ensure that the water is boiling before adding it to the rice. It simply won't cook properly in hot water. How long should I boil the rice? When using white rice, this recipe for baked rice in the oven takes 20 minutes. The cooking time should be increased to 45 minutes if you're using brown rice. Make sure the grains are well cooked and the water has been absorbed. For optimal results, use water that is boiling hot. Which kind of rice works best in this recipe? We just used long grain white rice for this dish, the same kind we use for our seasoned rice pilaf. The time it takes to bake the rice may change if you use a different kind of rice. Brown rice, for instance, needs 45 minutes to bake. How should uncooked rice be kept? Rice should be kept in a cold, dry location in an airtight container. I put the bags of rice in my pantry in a big food service container. While many types of white rice may be kept at room temperature indefinitely, brown rice only lasts around 3 to 6 months at room temperature. By keeping it in the fridge or freezer, you can increase its shelf life. When brown rice smells rotten or odd, it has reached the end of its shelf life. Seal the container after each usage to keep the rice clean and free of pollutants and pests. Recipe outlays. Purchasing rice in bulk is in your best interest if you enjoy using it in a variety of cuisines and taste combinations. At my neighborhood Ralph's, this 10-pound bag of rice cost me $3.52. That works out to 35 cents per pound. Compare pricing at several retailers and think about maintaining a record of the ones you frequently visit. Make it a habit to purchase rice from the retailer with the cheapest per unit price. Equipment: 9 by 13-inch baking pan, robust aluminum foil, a water heater, cooking oil-free spray. Ingredients: 2 cups uncooked long-grain white rice, salt, 1/2 teaspoon, 4 cups of boiling water. Instructions: set the oven to 425 degrees. Spray nonstick cooking spray in a 9x 13-inch baking dish. In the bottom of the pan, add the rice and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Immediately after adding the hot water to the pan, wrap it with sturdy aluminum foil. Enclose the edges firmly. Bake for 20 minutes after placing the pan in the oven. With a fork, fluff the rice before serving. Number 6. Recipe using short grain rice flour. Many viewers of my frozen rice flour-based rice cake videos who had never used rice flour questioned me extensively about it. Rice is finely ground to create rice flour, also known as salgaru. Chap salgaru, sweet rice flour, and meep salgaru are the 2 types of Calgary that Koreans often use to make rice cakes. Short grain rice is used to make meep salgaru, which is often sold frozen to preserve moisture. Most Korean areas still have a local mill where you can get grains and seeds processed and turned into powders, oils, liquids, and even cakes. This is how it has always been done in Korea. In order to manufacture toasted sesame oil for yourself, you can bring your roasted sesame seeds to the mill. In the area where I reside, New York City, there are no mills at all. I have to get frozen rice flour, naengdong meop salgaru, from a Korean grocery shop if I want to bake rice cake. My readers have told me, I really want to create your rice cake, monkey, but I can't seem to locate the rice flour you use. The rice flour is unavailable in the Korean grocery store I frequent. How might I create rice flour at home? This recipe for creating meep salgaru at home with a food processor or coffee grinder is the result of various trials I conducted. As a result, you may now produce your own rice flour and rice cakes whenever you want. I hope this is useful. Ingredients: makes 4 cups of rice flour, 2 cups of short grain rice, or 1 pound. Directions: launder the rice. Put it in a basin of water and give it a thorough 10-second hand wash. Stir, drain, and then rinse. Continue until the water drains completely. Soak in clean water for 8 to 12 hours, or overnight. Float the rice. It should have grown to around 312 cups worth. Using a food processor or coffee grinder, finely ground the rice. To create a bowl, sift the ground rice flour. If any of the rice particles are too large to sift, grind them once more until they can. You'll have roughly 4 cups of rice flour in the end. Use it immediately away, or store it in the freezer in a plastic bag until you need it. Number 7. White rice recipe for the pressure cooker. White rice cooked under pressure, instant pot recipe. A pressure cooker, such as an instant pot, may produce dependable, fluffy white rice. On the stove, I used to cook rice. I reasoned that using an instant pot was unnecessary because cooking on a stovetop or in one took about the same amount of time. Then, one evening, I had to prepare rice in the instant pot because I needed the counter space. My instant pot now doubles as a rice cooker. Why? I can prepare rice while just half paying attention, after all. Rice and water should be added to the saucepan. Lock the cover and cook the rice for 4 minutes. Next, set a 10-minute timer, and when it goes off, quickly remove any pressure that is still present. It's helpful to have a quick and simple side dish while I'm rushing about the kitchen, for example, whirling my way through a stir-fry. How long does rice need to cook in an instant pot? Rice cooks in the instant pot for 4 minutes under high pressure and for 10 minutes naturally. The rice in the instant pot can complete cooking during those 10 minutes. Quickly release any remaining pressure in the pot after the 10-minute mark. What amount of water do I need? I use a ratio of 1 cup of rice to 1¼ cups of water. Due to the sealed pressure cooker's ability to avoid evaporation, I use less water than I would on the stovetop, 1 cup rice to 1½ cups water. Before placing the rice in the instant pot, should I rinse it? Prior to cooking rice in the instant pot, I don't rinse it. Rinsing is crucial if you want to maintain the separation of each individual grain since it removes any surface starch on the rice. I don't rinse my rice since I don't mind if it's a bit sticky. Guidelines for pressure cooker fluffy rice cooking. Rice with a long grain is the secret to fluffy rice. Rice with a medium or short grain has a higher starch content, which is what causes sticky rice. Although any long grain rice type would work, I prefer to use jasmine rice. Additionally, as I said above, rinse the rice in a fine mesh strainer under cold running water until the water runs clear to remove any surface starches if you want your instant pot rice to be extra fluffy. Why not use the rice button instead? I avoid using the rice button since I like to operate my pressure cooker manually. Why use the rice button when I can pressure cook the rice for 4 minutes and get it just right? Ingredients: 2 cups white long grain rice, 1.5 cups of water, 12 teaspoons of sea salt, fine. Instructions: fill the pot with the rice, water, and salt should be added to the pressure cooker pot and stirred. Pressure 4 minutes of rice cooking time followed by a 10-minute natural release. Lock the cover and cook for 4 minutes under high pressure. Turn off the warming mode, wait 10 minutes for the pressure to drop, then quickly release any leftover pressure. In order to avoid any hot steam, open the lid away from you. With a fork, fluff the rice before serving. Number 8. Rice cooking without a rice cooker. How to. Rice. The best accompaniment. A versatile side dish for stews and stir-fries alike. One very big obstacle preventing me from starting a low-carb diet is one of the most significant staple meals in China and throughout the world. Since I was in the 2nd grade, I have been able to prepare rice. My mother instructed me to use my finger to measure the correct quantity of water before I would scoop out the rice from a large canister in the pantry and drag a little step stool up to the kitchen sink. When everything was suddenly transformed into a fluffy, perfectly cooked side for whatever my parents were preparing that evening, I would place the pot in the rice cooker, cover it, and hit the button. I've been using a rice cooker to cook rice for as long as I can remember, as you can probably tell from that anecdote. Because of this, I was bewildered when I moved into a new apartment a few months ago and discovered that I was without a rice cooker for the first time ever. Like, losing from eating only pasta for a week. Fortunately, my mother had a solution for me, and I have been cooking rice without a rice cooker ever since using this technique. Although this straightforward approach is so reliable, I won't likely buy one for a while. Are you ready for the secret? Is to soak the rice. It doesn't require much soaking time. Only 15 to 20 minutes. When you do put the saucepan over the heat, the rice cooks more quickly since all the grains have liquid in them. The typical approach you could come across from other sources often entails mixing the rice and water in a 1-to-2 ratio and cooking everything right away on the burner. Despite the fact that the technique occasionally works, I frequently end up scorching the bottom of the rice since it takes longer to cook and doesn't always cook evenly. You should soak the rice, I assure you. So, if you're similarly without a rice cooker, here's how to always make great rice without one. Recipe guidelines. Take a measurement of however much rice you desire and record it. This stage doesn't require any specialized measurement equipment. Use whatever cup or mug you have, really. Place the rice in the pot and add only 2 inches of water to cover it. On the counter, let the rice soak for 15 to 20 minutes. Drain the water the rice was soaking in when it is finished. You should just have a saucepan of wet rice at this point. Now, can you recall how much rice you added to the pot? Pour the same quantity of new water into the saucepan after measuring it. For brown rice, add a little more water. Here is how the brown rice appears after soaking and having fresh water added. Set the heat of the saucepan to medium-high. Turn the heat down to low, cover the pot, and let the rice simmer for around 10 to 15 minutes, white rice, or 20 to 25 minutes, brown rice. That's all, then. Here is a pot of fluffy jasmine rice that is just right. Simple, right? Ingredients: rice, water. Instructions: take a measurement of however much rice you desire and record it. This stage doesn't require any specialized measurement equipment. Use whatever cup or mug you have, really. Place the rice in the pot and add only 2 inches of water to cover it. On the counter, let the rice soak for 15 to 20 minutes. Drain the water the rice was soaking in when it is finished. You should just have a saucepan of wet rice at this point. Now, can you recall how much rice you added to the pot? Pour the same quantity of new water into the saucepan after measuring it. For brown rice, add a little more water. Set the heat of the saucepan to medium-high. Turn the heat down to low, cover the pot, and let the rice simmer for around 10 to 15 minutes, white rice, or 20 to 25 minutes, brown rice. That's all, then. Number 9. Recipe for sticky rice. I love my rice cooker and we use it at least once a week since we are in Japan right now and can buy the nicest short grain rice, but I met someone from Hawaii, and she told me the easiest method to make sticky rice in a rice cooker. Ingredients: 2 cups of rice, short grain, Calrose type works best, about 2 cups of medium grained rice, Calrose type works best. Directions: rice should be rinsed 3 times by being added to the rice cooker in the desired quantity, filled with water, and then drained off just before the rice begins to pour out of the pot. After cleaning, add water to the pot until your middle finger's first line just touches the rice when you dip your middle finger down into the water. Cook rice in a cooker that, depending on your cooker, automatically turns off or switches to the warm setting. Your rice should be delicious on its own and lovely and sticky to absorb up the wonderful flavors of everything you are putting to it. Note: washing rice too much can give it an unpleasant fishy flavor. Number 10. Recipe for simple white rice. Despite the advantages of whole grains, eating refined white rice occasionally is really healthier for you, which may seem paradoxical. Foods high in fiber might be challenging to digest if your stomach is disturbed from chemotherapy, if you've had abdominal surgery, or if your intestines are inflamed. White rice will be a godsend in these circumstances. It provides energy quickly and is simple to absorb. Basmati rice with very long grains is our preferred option. In addition to having a little lower glycemic index than other types of white rice, it also has a unique flavor that is incredibly fragrant and tasty. It's fantastic as an occasional side dish to a nice curry or stir-fry when you're feeling better. Ingredients: 2 cups of white long-grain rice. 3 water cups. Salt, as desired. Directions: a large saucepan with a tight-fitting cover should contain the rice, water, and salt. Bringing to a rapid boil, reduce the heat to low while covering the pot. For 20 minutes, gently simmer the rice. Never open the lid. Turn off the heat. For 10 to 15 minutes, cover the rice and let it steam. Do not peek. Use a fork to fluff, then serve. Number 11. What to do with pinnipig. Some folks may be wondering how to toast pinnipig. Pinnipig is easy to toast and doesn't take long. If you've ever seen fresh pinnipig, you know it's supple and gooey. Although I don't like the tougher texture of the imported pinnipig, also known as young sweet rice flakes, at least we have it. Sticky rice, also known as glutinous rice or malagkit in the Filipino language, is used to make pinnipig. Toasted pinnipig is used in several Filipino dessert recipes to give them a crispy texture. To understand how simple and quick it is to accomplish, watch my video on how to toast pinnipig. Toasted pinnipig is something I frequently cook in excess, so I may have it on hand whenever I need it. For a few months, it will store nicely in an airtight container. I include toasted pinnipig into Filipino cocktails and sweets. These include halo-halo, ube halaya, hopia pie, and taro and coconut milk drink with toast green pinnipig, among many more. When pinnipig is toasted, it resembles a type of puff rice with a crispy outside and a chewy interior. Ingredients: 1 cup of young sweet rice flakes and pinnipig. Instructions: without using any oil, fry pinnipig over low heat. Note: change your stove's medium-low setting to low if it is still set to high. To cook pinnipig evenly, stir often. The hue will change to gold. Turn off the heat if already crispy. Set aside so you may relax. Transfer to a container that is airtight. Number 12. A dairy substitute is homemade rice milk. Making homemade rice milk only costs 6 cents. You save 99% as compared to store-bought goods. Cinnamon vanilla is my favorite flavor combination, it's delicious. What healthy cuisine is the simplest to prepare? The culture of the lazy man, or woman, is kefir, and the bread of the lazy man is sourdough. On the counter, they both do nothing but sit. You do nothing, just like the slacker producing kefir or sourdough. Pretty cool, huh? But neither of those can compete with rice milk. This is the lazily produced non-dairy milk of all varieties. You don't even need to prepare rice to create milk if you don't want to. No soaking, no boiling of the water, nothing. Any remaining rice will do. You must have some in the refrigerator or freezer, don't you think? If not, simply sometimes make extra. Then you may indulge in rice milk while being sluggish. Commercial milk for rice. Right now, I'm going to start telling you folks how unhealthy rice milk from a store is for you. Well, my opinions on rice milk are somewhat conflicted. I didn't think rice milk was all that horrible at first. Even though it was produced using brown rice rather than white rice, the label claimed that it was organic. In reality, I only found one bad ingredient, high oleic safflower oil, on the list of ingredients for this milk. Contrary to what big business in agriculture claims, polyunsaturated fats aren't actually that good for humans. Safflower oil is a yellow cooking oil. For that beneficial omega-3 and 6 fatty acids, you're better off consuming a handful of nuts. The oil was nonetheless expeller pressed. The bad oil was at least treated naturally, right? A number of vitamins and minerals are included as you continue to study the ingredients. Well then, I suppose it can't be too awful for us since it simply contains water, brown rice, high oleic safflower oil, and vitamins and minerals, can it? We should be most concerned about those vitamins and minerals. Synthetic vitamins and minerals are among the artificial meals that our systems struggle to assimilate properly. Real food contains nutrients that aid in bodily function and aid in the storage of additional nutrients. The body uses the extra nutrients it has been hoarding to break down and digest phony food, such as nacho cheese corn chips, of which cheese is not an ingredient. Therefore, eating processed food deprives the body of nutrients. The same is true if the body consumes artificial vitamins and minerals. These are also artificial, and the body expends more energy attempting to digest and utilize them than it does from their use. The same risks associated with enriched flour also apply here. Safflower oil is something I'm ready to overlook, but we will not be consuming fortified items in my home. In addition to the traditional form, which also contains expeller-pressed high oleic safflower oil, canola oil, and sunflower oil, this new and better enriched rice milk is available. Down 2 thumbs. I won't even begin to discuss this brand. It sounds like a miraculous health food because it is said to be lactose-free, casein-free, gluten-free, low-fat, and cholesterol-free. Ignore the fact that the first 3 components are all different types of sugars. The 7th component is rice flour, which is followed by additional chemicals and then, oh wait, more artificial vitamins and minerals. Commercial rice milk price. 1 quart of rice milk costs only 2 cents more than cashew milk on Amazon, where it costs less than $5. Not only will you be spending your whole food budget on the easiest milk to prepare, but perhaps maybe the cheapest milk as well. Did you think coconut milk was inexpensive? Look at these figures. Costco charges $22.08 for 50 pounds of long-grain rice, or $44 per pound. 1 pound of rice contains 2 half cups, making the price per cup $18. Want to venture a guess as to how much rice is required to produce 1 quart of rice milk? A cup. However, because this recipe calls for cooked rice, making homemade rice milk without sugar, artificial vitamins or minerals, or false minerals or oils will only cost you $6. I appreciate Marianne's assistance with the math. And guess what? It really has a pleasant flavor. Pre-cooked rice is an option. You don't even need to produce new rice to create milk, as I just said. Any type of cooked rice will do, and if it's leftover coconut rice from taco night, your milk will also have a faint coconut taste. Yum! I'm staying with the normal 1 teaspoon vanilla and 1/2 tsp cinnamon if you want to flavor this milk. There are enough of sugars in other parts of our diets. Milk doesn't need to be added to that list. Additionally, you won't know the difference if you don't eat it sweet at the beginning, and neither will the kids. Rice milk made at home is so easy. To create rice milk, I use a powerful Blendtec blender like this one. It has more than 45 functions and is one of my favorite kitchen tools. Prior to using my instant saucepan, I used a pot on my stovetop. I like brown rice for meals, but white for rice milk. Some of my readers also have rice cookers that they adore. It's simple to create in large numbers no matter how you prepare it. Prepare a portion for dinner, reserve a portion for rice milk, and freeze the remainder. Ingredients: 1 cup of rice, cooked. 4 cups of filtered liquid. Instructions: 4 cups of filtered water and the measured rice should be added to a blender. For about a minute, blend until smooth. For a really smooth consistency, you might wish to blend once more. Enjoy cool and keep in the fridge, shake before using. Number 13. Simple dosa called neer. Neer dosa, a straightforward dosa that is also beneficial for patients. Ingredients: 1 cup pachori white rice. As needed salt. As needed water. Instructions: rice should be well ground with salt and water. Do not create the dosa and then keep it, simply grind the ingredients right before creating it. Make the mixture loose by adding water to it. The batter must be less tightly packed than the appam mix. Pour the mixture onto a hot frying pan in order to create a thin layer. Put a cover on it and heat it for 2 minutes. The neer dosa in print form is ready. The neer dosa should be served hot. Number 14. Rice recipe for the Instant Pot or Ninja Foodie. Rice Ninja Food. Trying out our new Ninja Foodie, we wanted to be as precise as we could be while writing recipes, therefore we wanted to determine how long items take to cook. Some families rely heavily on rice, which makes a terrific foundation for filling meals. A cup of rice costs 6 points on the Weight Watchers Freestyle diet. In the majority of our recipes, a serving will be roughly 2 ounces or 1 point. Rice is easily prepared using the Ninja Foodie. Although the Ninja Foodie has raised the bar for pressure cooking, we still use and like our Instant Pot. It is simpler to operate and builds pressure more quickly than the Instant Pot. The addition of an air fryer is what really distinguishes Ninja Foodie. The Foodie quickly prepares crispy, succulent chicken and turkey. According to the Weight Watchers Freestyle program, 1 cup of white rice is worth 6 points. Before fully eliminating rice from your diet, consider the following nutritional information. We adore Weight Watchers because it allows you to eat whatever you want as long as you keep under your point budget. 4.4 grams of protein and 53.2 grams of carbohydrates may be found in 1 cup of white rice. Because there are so many carbohydrates in it, the point value is 6. When utilizing cauliflower rice, we normally consume half a cup of rice with our meals. Accordingly, we assign those 3 points in the app. A cooked half a cup of long-grain brown rice has 4 points, so be careful what kind of rice you use. Rice may be an excellent source of B vitamins, thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, fiber, and iron, depending on the kind you pick. Magnesium and manganese are 2 more nutrients that are abundant in rice. After being refined, vitamins and minerals are re-added to rice that has been enriched. Because rice is gluten-free, it may be a component of a balanced diet as long as you keep your portion sizes in check. Vitamin content in brown rice is higher than in conventional white rice. Brown rice includes selenium, which affects thyroid function and is crucial for antioxidant enzymes, in addition to thiamine and magnesium. Awesome, no? In the battle for points, wild rice is by far the winner. The Green Plan, which is the strictest diet on WW right now, with 5 points for each cup. Wild rice might be a reduced point alternative if you are creating a recipe that calls for rice and you don't like or don't want to use cauliflower rice. For example, sushi rice is 4 points for 1/2 a cup on the blue, green, and purple plans. Varying varieties of rice have different point values. Therefore, be careful to calculate everything so you may succeed as much as possible. In your recipe app, kindly calculate every recipe you discover online. The WW app constantly refreshes, which causes certain counts to be off, in my experience. Although all points were correct when they were posted, I still advise using your recipe builder to calculate points just to be cautious. This is also possible, and free, in Health, formerly known as iTrackBites. Ingredients: white rice, 1 cup. 1 water cup. 1 pinch salt. Instructions. Add the water, rice, and a dash of salt to the Ninja Foodi, then mix. Cook for 3 minutes under high pressure while sealing the pressure cooker's cover. 10 to 18 minutes of natural release. I am aware that it requires some time. This is how I've learned to cook rice to the correct consistency without making it mushy or undercooked. Number 15. Recipe for Baath. Baath is a straightforward rice recipe that you can make for lunch or dinner with your preferred curry. This simple dish, which just calls for kolam rice and water, will be incredibly nourishing for you and your family. This meal may be served with any curry or dal of your choosing because of its adaptability. This dish is simple to make as a buffet cuisine, and you can offer it to your guests as a dinner that is both light and satisfying. The next time you're stuck for a rice recipe to make, this meal will be a mouth-watering choice that you must try. Kolam rice can be substituted with any other type of rice. Components of a bhat. Rice, 4 cups. 5 cup water. Making a baath. Step 1. Under running water, wash and clean the rice, clam rice. Set them aside till another use. Step 2. At a medium temperature, add 5 cups of water to a pressure cooker. Permit the water to a boil. Step 3. Rice, clam rice, should be added to the boiling water and mixed. Cook for 6 to 7 minutes with the lid on the cooker. Step 4. When finished, extinguish the flame and let the mixture's vapor escape before opening the lid. Enjoy. Serve with the curry of your choice. Number 16. Rice in an instant pot without soaking. Pani rice made in an instant pot is fluffy white rice that is flawlessly prepared and ready in a short amount of time. Pani rice cooked in an instant pot does not require pre-soaking. I used Pani raw rice, a common variety of South Indian white rice that is consumed uncooked. Pani brand of rice comes as raw rice or parboiled rice. You can pair the perfectly cooked, fluffy rice with any side dishes or curries of your choice. I'll update the recipe once I attempt making Pani cooked rice in an instant pot. Describe Pani rice. Pani rice is a common type of white rice that is used in cooking and is very well liked in Tamil Nadu, South India. Pani rice is sweet, fluffy, and soft and is ideal for thalis, which are Indian-style meals that include rice and curry. Pani rice comes in 2 extremely well-liked varieties, Pani raw rice and Pani cooked, parboiled, rice. Even though par-cooked rice often takes longer to prepare, it is also thought to be healthier. Even though the Pani raw rice has a longer grain than the Pani parboiled rice, you may still use it to make pulao or pilaf rice. Check out this recipe for leftover cooked Pani raw rice and sweet corn pulao. I used Pani raw rice in my quick pot Pani rice dish, but as I already indicated, if I ever attempt Pani boiling rice, I will update the recipe. So, using this straightforward, ideal method for rapid pot Pani rice, here's how to make Pani raw rice. Method for making immediate pot Pani rice, Pani raw rice. To make the ideal Pani rice in the instant pot, we just need 2 ingredients. These are what they are. Uncooked rice Pani. Water. To improve the rice's texture and flavor, you may also add other ingredients like a tablespoon of oil, or butter, or a teaspoon of lemon juice. Pani raw rice instant pot cooking steps, the process. Rinse the rice thoroughly and add it to the inner pot of the instant pot. Discard the water used for rinsing the rice. Make sure there is water at the bottom of the pot before adding the recommended amount of water, in this case, 4 cups for 2 cups of Pani rice. Press the rice button, seal the cover, and cook the rice for 10 minutes in the instant pot. If it is not set for 10 minutes, adjust the time to 10 minutes. Many models don't let you change the time for rice, but you can still use it if it's automatically set for 12 minutes. Press the Keep Warm/Cancel button once the pot beeps to indicate that the cooking is complete, then wait for a 10 to 12 minute natural pressure release. If the rice button was set for 12 minutes of cooking, you may just go for 10 minutes natural pressure release. After 10 to 12 minutes of natural pressure release, gently perform a manual release by slowly rotating the lid to the venting position and releasing the pressure that way. When all of the pressure has been released, carefully open the Instant Pot, fluff the rice with a fork, or stir the rice lightly with a spoon or spatula. Side appears for cooked pani rice. You may serve cooked pani rice with any dry side dish and gravy of South Indian or North Indian style, whichever you want, to have a quick and delectable lunch. Here are some suggestions for pairings with cooked pani rice. I'll advise serving it with one gravy and at least one dry side dish. You may also add chutneys, pickles, papads, or papadum, which are lentil crackers made in India and typically eaten with rice, and other condiments. Which stores sell pani rice? Pani rice is frequently found in Indian grocery shops in the rice aisle or among South Indian goods. It comes in both raw and boiling forms. Pani rice in an instant. In the quick pot, perfect, fluffy South Indian pani uncooked rice is made. This rice is ideal for the thali and South Indian cuisine, Indian-style meals including rice and side dishes. Equipment: a 6-quart Duo or Luxe Instant Pot. Ingredients: 2 cups of uncooked pani rice. Water in 4 glasses. Instructions: rinse the rice thoroughly and add it to the inner pot of the Instant Pot. Discard the water used for rinsing the rice. Make sure there is water at the bottom of the pot before adding the recommended amount of water, in this case, 4 cups for 2 cups of pani rice. Press the rice button when the lid is in the closed, sealing position, and cook for 10 minutes. If the timer isn't set for 10 minutes, modify it to 10 minutes. The time for the rice button is frequently unadjustable, and even if it is automatically set for 12 minutes rather than 10, you can still use it. Press the Keep Warm/Cancel button once the pot beeps to indicate that the cooking is complete, then wait for a 10 to 12 minute natural pressure release. If the rice button was set for 12 minutes of cooking, you may just go for 10 minutes natural pressure release. After 10 to 12 minutes of natural pressure release, gently perform a manual release by slowly rotating the lid to the venting position and releasing the pressure that way. When all of the pressure has been released, carefully open the Instant Pot, fluff the rice with a fork, or stir the rice lightly with a spoon or spatula. Number 17. Recipe for perfect white rice. This is a sponsored article that I wrote for IZA on behalf of P.F. Chang's home menu. Every viewpoint is entirely mine. The perfect side dish for P.F. Chang's delectable home menu dishes, this recipe for flawless white rice turns a typical weekday supper into a fun walk Wednesday. It offers a proven method for making white rice. The perfect white rice recipe is one that every cook should be able to make. It goes with a variety of cuisines and couldn't be simpler. To have rice on hand for other fast and simple meals, I like to cook the rice ahead of time and freeze it. My preferred side dish for Asian meals is perfectly cooked white rice. Additionally, even though I would want to cook a complete meal every weekday, it doesn't always happen. It must happen. Regardless of how well I believe I have scheduled my meals for the week, something always happens. I forget to remove the meat from the freezer, or if one of us needs to stay late at work or get stopped in traffic, I am exhausted and don't feel like cooking. I occasionally find that I'm not in the mood for the scheduled supper. Life takes place. I don't want to just eat out on a weekday because we strive to be frugal. For these reasons, I like to keep a few quick and simple frozen dinners on hand. I'm thrilled that I recently discovered P.F. Chang's home menu in the frozen food section of my local supermarket and can be found in the frozen food aisle of grocery stores nationwide. Perfectly suited for two, it enables Mr. Flavor Mosaic and I to design our own meal, complete with mouth-watering appetizers, delectable sides, and the bold main dishes that we both adore. These are not your typical frozen meals. The P.F. Chang's home menu was created by the company's founder Philip Chang and features high-quality products such as steak, chicken breast with white flesh, or shrimp, together with bright, crisp veggies and potent sauces and flavors. I like that they provide a wide choice of intriguing, robust flavors that let me prepare supper faster while still serving us delectable meals with our favorite bold flavors, like Mongolian beef or orange chicken. You may select from so many different tastes that you'll never grow tired of them. For some real Asian dinners, I prefer to always have these on hand. I like to prepare my perfect white rice to go with the PF on a weekday to make it become #Wok Wednesday. Entrees from Chang's home menu. It tastes great and completes a meal. Ingredients: 1 cup of white long-grained rice, 0.5 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 cups of water. Instructions: bring 1½ cups of water to a boil in a medium sauce over high heat. When the water is boiling, lower the heat down to medium-high, add the rice, and then bring the water back to a boil. Lower the heat so that it will simmer. Rice should be soft and have absorbed all the water by the time it is covered and cooked for 16 to 18 minutes. Remove from heat and allow settle for about 10 minutes with a lid. Then use a fork to fluff before serving. Number 18. Cooking rice. I'll describe my typical rice cooking method in this article. Depending on the type of rice, I employ either a quick or a safe procedure. I am aware that there are several techniques and suggestions for cooking rice. Please share any helpful advice you may have with me in the comments area below. General principle. If you adhere to this general guideline, cooking rice is pretty simple. This ratio is what I always use, whereas I typically estimate 1 dl, 2/5 cup of rice for one person. This recipe calls for 1 dl, 2/5 cup of rice and 1½ dl, 2/3 cup of water. After that, all you have to do is multiply by the number of people you are feeding. 1½ dl, 2/3 cup of water to 1 dl, 2/5 cup of rice for one person. 2 dl, 4/5 cup of rice and 3 dl, 1 1/3 cup of water are enough for 2 people. There are 2 ways I can cook rice. There is a secure method that works with practically all varieties of rice. By using this technique, you should entirely prevent the rice from burning or sticking to the pan's bottom. I also have a quicker and easier method for making rice. Some varieties of rice, nevertheless, will burn to the bottom of the pot. I generally always use the quick approach since the kinds of rice I consume respond nicely to it, typically basmati rice. The secure approach. The technique is the most secure way to cook rice since it prevents the rice from burning in the pan. This technique ought to work with all varieties of rice. The guidelines: add the water to a saucepan, then put the heat on. When the water begins to boil, add the rice, cover the pan with a lid, and reduce the heat to one of your stove's lowest settings, 1 to 3. For 11 minutes, cover the pot and let the rice boil. When the time is up, remove the pan from the heat and let the rice simmer for an additional 11 minutes with the lid on. Avoid taking off the cover while the rice is cooking since this will allow water vapors to escape the pot and cause burnt rice. The quick approach. I typically use this procedure since it is the quickest and suits the majority of rice varieties. Some varieties of rice, meanwhile, are too delicate for this technique and can burn to the bottom of the pan. The guidelines: add the water to a saucepan, then increase the heat to high. Depending on your stove, the water will boil in a few minutes. Add the rice after the water begins to boil, cover the pan with a lid, and reduce the heat to one of the lower settings, setting 1 to 3. Rice should cook for 15 minutes after setting a timer. During this period, don't open the lid. The rice is finished and ready to be served after 15 minutes. Directions: cook rice. 1 to 2 15-minute preparation time. Time total, 15 minutes. Title in Danish, Kogris. Dinner is a category. Ingredients: 1 1/3 cups, 1 dl, of water. 4/5 cup of rice in 2 dl, basmati rice. Instructions: 1. Place the water in a saucepan and increase the heat to high. 2. Add the rice to the boiling water, cover the pan with a lid, and reduce the heat to one of the lowest settings, normally 1 to 3. The rice should now boil for 15 minutes. Keep in mind not to lift the lid at this time. 3. When the rice has finished cooking, it is ready to be served. Number 19. How to cook excellent rice in a pressure cooker. With an electric pressure cooker, you can quickly and conveniently make rice. A fantastic inexpensive side dish to add to your weekly dinner rotation is Instant Pot rice. You have an electric pressure cooker, then, I take it? Christmas or birthday present? Or perhaps you knew you had to get it since your friend raved about it. It has been there for a while now. Still contained in the shipping box. You are aware that a pressure cooker may save your life on a hectic night. So it says in the infomercial. And your buddy continues to brag about how quickly she prepares supper each night. But what in the world are you supposed to do with it? I can relate. Having been there. Before they were trendy, someone gave me my first electric pressure cooker. My sister, who had also received one as a present and had kept it in the box for a few months, then added, it produces incredibly tasty rice. Huh? Really? We all know that's too good to be true, so I wasn't really interested in preparing supper in 10 minutes, but I was interested in replacing our rice cooker, which was beyond repair. It seems that my sister was correct. It does produce tasty rice. What can an immediate pot be used for? If you've been wondering how to start using your Instant Pot, then know that you're not alone. Numerous home chefs have purchased or been given one and utilized it as a footrest underneath their workstations. Wait, what? Perhaps it was just me. But many people have asked me what they should make in an electric pressure cooker. These are a few of my favorite Instant Pot recipes. How to make immediate POTR. Making rice in an Instant Pot is really simple and can be done in any quantity. In the Instant Pot, cook long-grain white rice at a 1-to-1 ratio. For every cup of rice, use 1 cup of water. If you'd like, rinse your rice. Put the rice in the pressure cooker. Equal parts of water should be added. Turn the pressure valve on after closing the lid. For 4 minutes, turn the machine to manual. Allow the machine to enter warming mode for 10 minutes once the cooking period has ended. If there is any pressure left, let it out, fluff the rice with a fork, and then serve. What should you do with rice that is left over? For up to 4 days, keep cooked rice in the refrigerator in a closed container. Put it in a freezer-safe zip-top bag for prolonged storage. Fried rice may easily be made with leftover rice. In fact, I specifically prepare additional rice for this use. Additionally, you may include leftover cooked rice in soups like bean and rice soup. Like oatmeal, my kids enjoy eating it in the morning with some milk and sugar. Does rice need to be rinsed? I have avoided rinsing rice for a very long time. In an otherwise short and simple process, there was one unpleasant step. My mother and grandmother have never done that, for sure. However, in order to improve the texture of your rice, sites like Cooks Illustrated and The Kitchen advise washing long-grain rice. They advise against worrying about washing rice if you want it to have a creamy texture, like risotto. Rinsing is advised by several sources, including Consumer Reports and the New Food Lover's Companion, for health concerns since it can reduce the inorganic arsenic level of rice by up to 30%. Brown rice should probably be rinsed since it contains more arsenic than white rice. Rinsing is generally a good idea since certain white rice may be covered with talc that contains asbestos, a sort of preservative. Do I need a rice buttoned Instant Pot? There are several buttons on my electric pressure cooker for unique dishes like rice, yogurt, or oatmeal. Sincerely, I've never applied any of them. Everything I cook is done manually, and it works out great. Can I make rice otherwise? Absolutely. Although it is a simple, hands-free method, a pressure cooker is not required to create excellent rice. But baked rice is also. In addition to using a saucepan on the stove, you may also cook rice in a special rice cooker. To cook rice on the stovetop, add a pinch of salt and 2 cups of water to a saucepan. Up to a boil. Cover after adding 1 cup of rice. Rice should cook for 20 minutes or until all the water has been absorbed once the heat is reduced to a simmer. How to prepare rice cheaply. In general, rice is a very inexpensive meal. It is widely available and reasonably priced because it is a pantry staple in all cultures. However, there are certain ways to stretch your food budget and make rice even more reasonably priced. Buy a lot of rice. Buying rice in bulk will typically result in the lowest unit cost, whether you purchase a massive bag from ALDI or Costco or fill up a bag yourself from the bulk bins at your neighborhood health food shop. Sometimes, but not always. Before making a purchase, make sure to shop around. Store your rice properly. Your rice supply can be destroyed by moisture, insects, and rodents. Genuine talk. In a cool, dry location, keep your rice in an airtight container. Grain should be kept in storage at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Look for bargains. Although bulk rice is less expensive, a 50-pound bag of specialized rice might not be what you're looking for. Risotto can only be consumed in so much. To figure out when you could discover cheap prices, check your grocery discounts and clearance specials. Verify the specialty food retailer. Markets in Asia, India, and Mexico all provide rice at reasonable prices. Additionally, they could provide specialty items that your neighborhood grocery shop might not have. Equipment. Pressure cooker electric. Ingredients. 2 cups of white long grain rice. Water, 2 cups. Salt. Pepper, black. Instructions. If you'd like, rinse your rice. Put the rice in the pressure cooker. Put the water in. Turn the pressure valve on after closing the lid. For 4 minutes, turn the machine to manual. Allow the machine to enter warming mode for 10 minutes once the cooking period has ended. If there is any pressure left, let it out, fluff the rice with a fork, and then serve. Number 20. Recipe for simple white rice. White rice is a simple ingredient to include in a variety of dishes and also works well as a side dish. Ingredients. White rice, 1 cup. 2 cups of water. Steps. The water should be added to the pot, then heated to a boil over medium-high heat. Add the rice to the saucepan gradually once the water has reached a boil. Reheat to a boil at a medium-high setting. Then turn the heat down to low. For 20 minutes, the mixture should simmer with a tight-fitting cover on the pan. Rice will be cooked evenly thanks to the tight lid's ability to trap steam. Till the rice has finished simmering, resist the impulse to open the cover and peek inside the pot. Turn off the heat when the designated time has passed. For the rice to completely absorb the water, let it stand for about 10 minutes. With a fork, fluff the rice before serving it heated. Number 21. Thermomix white rice cooking instructions. Have you ever tried to cook rice in a pan only to see it bubble over and froth or boil dry and start to burn? After numerous trips down that path, I now cook all of my rice in the Thermomix. White rice with a long grain. Small-grained white rice. Except for sushi rice, short-grain white rice. Reduce the cooking time for basmati and jasmine rice by a few minutes to avoid gluggy rice. See my separate recipe here on how to cook brown rice in the Thermomix for brown rice. Setting a timer allows you to complete other tasks without having to worry about keeping an eye on the pot, which is extremely convenient. The uncooked rice can be added to the boiling basket so easily, and cleaning it up is as simple. We eat it at least twice a week along with stir fries, grilled fish and meat, and curries. Storage methods for leftover cooked rice. When it comes to food poisoning, rice is a major offender, therefore it's crucial to keep it properly after cooking. Rice should be cooled and refrigerated as soon as you can to reduce danger. When rice is exposed to room temperature for an extended period of time, bacteria can grow from the spores and release toxins that lead to food poisoning. In order for it to cool fast, spread it out thinly on a baking sheet or another big container. Consume within a day or two after the food is chilled, covered, and stored in the refrigerator. Rice may be heated again in the microwave, oven, or stovetop. Where to freight frozen rice. It's convenient to keep a supply of frozen rice in the freezer that can be retrieved at the last minute for hectic weekday dinners. Spreading the rice thinly on a baking sheet will help it cool more quickly, just like when you refrigerate leftover rice. Scoop it into freezer-safe bags when it has cooled, label them, and keep them in the freezer for up to 2 months. Place the rice in a bowl and cover it with a lid that fits loosely to reheat it. Stirring midway during the heating process will help to achieve a uniform heat distribution. Ingredients: 1 kilogram of cold water. Short, medium, or long grain white rice, 300 g, uncooked, Note 1. Instructions. Rice should be weighed before adding water to the Thermomix bowl and the simmering basket. I've discovered that 300 g usually serves 4. Cook with the measuring cap on for 18 to 22 minutes at 100 degrees and speed 4. If it isn't fully done, fluff it up with a fork to check and cook for an additional few minutes, if necessary. Number 22. Recipe for Chinese white rice. My mom attended a Chinese cooking class back in the 70s, and we've used it to make rice ever since. This is the perfect recipe for creating wonderful rice with individual grains, perfect for putting into fried rice the next day as well as enjoying with your choice of toppings today. Ingredients: white rice, 2 cups. Water. Directions. You may prepare as much rice as you need, simply use around half as much rice as you want for the end result. The 2 cups are just an arbitrary measurement so I can obtain the serving/yield amount. The amount of rice of your choice into a saucepan with a tight-fitting lid. Rice must cover the bottom of the pan and should be an inch or deeper, so use the proper-sized pot for the amount of rice you are cooking. Add water up to several inches over the rice. Use your hands to stir the water and rice. Milky water will result. This is the extra starch coming off the rice. To retain the rice in the pot, drain the water from it using your hand or the lid. Rinsing and draining should be done twice more. The last rinse should result in clean water. With the tip of your pointer finger resting on top of the rice, cover it with clean, cold water up to the depth of your first knuckle. This will be a bit less than an inch. Turn the heat to high and place the saucepan on the stove. Covered, bring to a boil, then cook until steam tunnels form through the rice and the majority of the water is no longer visible. Seems like a drinking straw was used to poke it multiple times. Put a cover on the pot and lower the heat on the stove. Cook for another 30 minutes with the lid on. When in doubt, uncover and fluff up a few grains to check. Add a cover and cook for a few more minutes if required. Serve the rice after fluffing it with a fork. It's ideal to use day-old rice when preparing fried rice, so store this in the fridge until it has cooled down a bit and enjoy it the following day. Number 24. Recipe for cooked rice water. Weary and worn out? I'm going to demonstrate how to produce the cheapest and healthiest at-home quick energy drink possible. I wouldn't have recalled this beverage, which my mother used to force me to consume when I was a child, if I hadn't been sick with the illness. It is uncommon to see a day without rice for lunch in Kerala, India, where I was raised. Everyone in the home frequently shares the hot, slightly salted water from the cooked rice. This water gives you the instant energy you need to be active for the remainder of the day. From the executive to the construction worker in Kerala, boiled rice water has been the go-to energy source for practically everyone. I find it surprising that it still receives the same amount of attention as in the past. I'm reminded of the saying old as gold by this. When I informed my mother I had the illness, she gave me some advice on how to get better quickly. She first advised me to drink lots of water and cooked rice water for vitality. Second, she advised me to breathe in the steam, which relieves nasal congestion. Third, she urged me to get plenty of rest. I utterly disregarded all of the aforementioned for the first 2 days. I suddenly became aware of my continued weakness. On the 3rd day, I was able to make a gradual entrance into the kitchen, get the rice out of the cupboard, cook it under pressure, and then drain the water. Seasoned the steaming hot rice water with salt and took a leisurely sip. I sweated when I finished the glass, and I saw that my body had regained some of its lost speed. I regularly drank the cooked rice water that I had stored in a flask. I felt considerably better and more enthusiastic by the end of that day. The advantages of boiled rice water extend far beyond its use as an energy drink. Diarrhea can be instantly treated with cooked rice water that has just a little bit more salt added. Infantile gastroenteritis and rice water treatment. View this. Beauty benefits of cooked rice water include lustrous hair and clean skin on the face. Rinse the hair with water after washing it with cold rice water. Washing your face in cold rice water might make your facial skin seem better. Rice water has been used in Kerala to starch white clothing. White garments are often washed after being soaked in rice water that has been diluted with water for a short time. After drying, the white clothes will become firm and wrinkle-free, just if they were recently purchased. I'm glad I can share these details with you, my readers. The energy drink I used to consume still has a particular place in my heart. The flu is only a cause. Water from cooked rice. Ingredients: 1 cup of washed rose mata rice, also known as Kerala mata rice, or Pani rice. 4 cups of water. Salt, as desired. Instruction: rice should be placed on a sieve and cleaned with running water. Place the rice, water, and salt in a pressure cooker. The rice should be well cooked. Open the cooker's lid after the pressure has decreased, then drain the rice through a sieve while collecting the water in a basin. If necessary, season with salt and serve in a glass. Drink this water with pickles or any other spicy side dish for an added kick. When using a rice cooker, cook the rice thoroughly if you're using a rice cooker. The water that is added to the rice as it cooks completely absorbs the water. Put enough rice in a bowl, add boiling water and salt, and then mash the rice with a wooden spoon or your hand. After being filtered through a sieve, the water from the mashed rice should be poured into a glass. Alternatively, you might drink water along with the nutritious mashed rice. Tips: since the water from cooked rose mata rice is so nutrient-rich and tasty, I prefer it over Pani rice. The popular rice in Kerala, known as Rosetta rice, is pinkish in hue and is sold in several Indian grocery stores. Pani rice is sold in nearly all Indian grocery shops. In order to prevent the cooked rice from absorbing all the water, add extra water while cooking the rice. For an extra spicy taste, you might also add pickles or raita to the water from the cooked rice. Number 25. Recipe for Instant Pot Calrose Rice. Learn how to make Asian-friendly food. Rice in the ideal Calrose Instant Pot, pressure cooker Calrose rice. No more medium-grain Japanese Calrose rice that is mushy, sticky, or hard. Easy to prepare in less than 30 minutes. I can't live without rice, as my dad, the rice guy, constantly says. Rice is in our blood. Because of this, we began our website with the traditional jasmine rice recipe. You might think we're insane. We must admit that we are rather choosy and finicky when it comes to eating rice, blame it all on our Asian ancestry. If the rice is out of balance, the entire dish just doesn't seem right. We've been having a lot of fun playing with some of the most popular varieties of rice, including jasmine rice, brown rice, basmati rice, sticky rice, and arborio rice. If you've been following our pressure cooking trip, thank you. So how can we forget about Calrose rice, one of our go-to favorites. You may argue that it's simply rice. How hard could it possibly be? You only need to hit the rice button to get started. Even while it seems simple, there isn't a single, foolproof way to make the best pressure cooker rice, at least not in our opinion. It might be challenging to perfect rice, especially instant pot rice that sticks. Finding the ideal water-to-rice ratio for us is like looking for the golden key that unlocks the treasure chest containing the ideal rice. Medium-grain Japanese-style rice called Calrose was created in California. Caledonian origin and production. Medium-grain form and rows. In reality, several restaurants utilize this to make sushi or as a less expensive alternative to the traditional Japanese rice side dish. Calrose rice experiment with the Instant Pot. What makes perfect Calrose rice perfect? The food is evenly cooked, tender in the middle, and has a pleasant texture. It is chewy to the bite. Stay distinct, intact, and a little sticky, but not mushy or gooey. Not mushy or wet, but dry rice with a touch of moisture. We used our Instant Pot electric pressure cooker to test more than 4 different liquid and cooking time combinations with Calrose rice. Ingredients: 1 cup, 235 g, of Calrose medium grain rice. 3 tablespoons plus 1 cup, 295 milliliters, of cold water. Instructions. Optional rinsing. Gently run cold water over the rice. Drain well, then add 1 cup plus 1 tablespoon of water to the remaining 2 tablespoons. Calrose rice may be cooked in the pressure cooker by adding 1 cup, 235 g, of medium-grained Calrose rice and 1 cup plus 3 tablespoons, 295 milliliters, of cold water. Close the cover and pressure cook for 6 minutes at high pressure using the manual/pressure cook button. Please refer to the experiment chart to determine your preferred texture, roughly 10 minutes. Carefully lift the cover. Serve with your preferred main dish after fluffing the Calrose rice with a fork or rice spatula. Enjoy. Number 26. Recipe for steamed white rice. Steamed white rice that is precisely prepared is the best. Serve straight with butter or use it as the foundation for a number of meals, such as stir-fried vegetables or Mongolian beef. Ingredients: 2 cups of white long-grain rice. 2.5 glasses of water. 1 kosher salt teaspoon, optional. Preparation. Put the rice in a strainer with fine mesh and pour cold water over it until the water is clear. In a medium pot with a tight-fitting cover, combine the rice and the measured water, and cook the mixture until it boils. Stir in the salt, if using, cover the pan, and lower the heat to a low setting. 15 minutes should pass while the rice simmers without being stirred. Remove from heat and allow to steam for 5 minutes while covered. Use a fork to fluff, then serve. Number 27. Kerala Matta rice cooking instructions. Kerala Matta rice cooking instructions with pictures: the ideal way to prepare Matta rice or Kerala red rice. Kerala Matta rice preparation instructions. It is incredibly healthy and high in fiber. Fish curry can be served with this rice. Cooking Matta rice. Healthy and quite simple to prepare Matta rice. It is incredibly healthy and high in fiber. Fish curry can be served with this rice. Kerala red rice is reasonably simple to prepare, however, it can be a little complicated. Kerala Matta rice cooking instructions, draining method. Wash the Matta rice at least 5 or 6 times. Give rice at least 30 minutes to soak in water. Water is brought to a boil. Add the soaked rice and simmer for 20 minutes, stirring often. By pushing the rice, you can determine when it is finished. Drain the rice once it has been cooked. Serve. Kerala Matta rice cooking instructions, pressure cooker method. Wash the Matta rice at least 5 or 6 times. Give rice at least 30 minutes to soak in water. Use a pressure cooker to cook the rice. 4 cups of water should be added to every cup of rice. To taste, add salt. It should boil. Cook under cover under pressure for 6 to 7 whistles. Allow the pressure to naturally release. Start the stove top. If there is any water still in the pressure cooker, remove it. The water will cook off on low heat once the heat is turned on. Before serving, allow it to cool. Serve. Karamata rice cooking instructions in instant pot. Wash the mat rice at least 5 or 6 times. Give rice at least 30 minutes to soak in water. Take the rice out of the pressure cooker. Add 8 glasses of water for every cup of rice. To taste, add salt. Put the Instant Pot in the pressure cook mode, cover it, and set the timer for 8 minutes. When the timer rings, allow the pressure to drop naturally. Open the pressure cooker. Put the rice in a colander to drain. Before serving, allow it to cool. Serve. Ingredients: 1 cup of rice, mata. Water, 7 cups. Instructions: wash the mat rice at least 5 to 6 times. Rice should be soaked for at least 30 minutes. Water is brought to a boil. Add the soaked rice and simmer for 20 minutes, stirring often. By pushing the rice, you can determine when it is finished. Drain the rice once it has been cooked. Serve. Number 28. Perfect recipe for white rice. You may use this recipe from Martha Stewart's cooking school to make flawless white rice every time. Ingredients: long grain white rice, 1 cup. 0.5 teaspoons of salt. Directions. Step 1. In a medium saucepan, heat 1½ cups of water to a rolling boil. Rice and salt are added, and the mixture is then heated up to a boil once more. Step 2. Reduce heat to a simmer, cover, and cook the rice for 16 to 18 minutes, or until it's soft and has soaked up all the liquid. Check only toward the end of cooking time. When the rice is finished cooking, it should be covered with craters or steam holes. Step 3. Remove from heat and allow to steam for 10 minutes while covered. Then use a fork to fluff before serving.